You're listening to Catalyst Talks, conversations with change agents, outliers, superheroes, and truly conscious leaders modeling what it is to be an unstoppable force for good and truth in this world. What lit these catalysts on fire to do their work, and what nuggets of wisdom can they share with a world literally on fire? I'm your host, Stephanie Trager. I'm a transformational catalyst and life coach to maverick change agents in business, leadership, and life. On this podcast, I wear an eclectic mix of hats, including Earthkeeper, Wayfinder, Truth Teller, coach, lawyer, business, and impact strategist. My intention is holding space for higher purpose, peak wellness, soul mastery, and deeper impact so we can live in harmony with ourselves, each other, and nature. Please subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen. If you love it, please share and spread the word. We're on YouTube and all the podcast platforms. See the show notes on catalysttalks.com for links, and enjoy this episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Catalyst Talks podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie Trager, and today we have a solo cast. We're going to dive into peak wellness and the great bypass. What does that mean? How does it affect you? And how does it affect everyone? I'm really excited about this. More and more people are coming into my world asking about wellness, needing wellness coaching, wellness support, mentorship, and major transformation. And so it's a really, really deep honor that I'm going to share with you some of my pillars of peak wellness and the inner work of that journey. Before we go there, I want to just take a moment to honor solstice. We're in this moment of solstice in the northern hemisphere. It's winter solstice. In the southern hemisphere, it's summer solstice. And what is that? We're going to take a moment to honor the earth quarters and understand why they are so important and how it really impacts us, how we can leverage the energies of this powerful portal in time. And when I think about solstice, I think about the dark, right? From here anyway, it's the dark, the longest night of the year in the southern hemisphere, or when it's summer solstice, it is the longest day of the year, the shortest night of the year. These are polarities, the great dark and light. And we're living in this moment of great polarity in the world. So as I always say, and in most of the podcasts I've been sharing, the guests I'm having on the calls, we are exploring the idea of the holographic nature of everything, right? The polarity of dark and light in our own personal lives, in nature, in solstice on the earth, in the collective, what's unfolding in the collective right now. What does that really mean, the polarity? Power versus force, love versus shame, wellness versus illness. I love to point out that the wellness versus illness, the only difference in those two words is the we and the I, right? As we embrace this solar cycle in solstice time, and we really dive into this dark day over here in the Northern Hemisphere, I'm going to refer to it from where I am right now. It is a really, really potent moment. Not just what's going on in the world, but it's an important time to pause and honor our connection with nature, honor our connection with ourselves, honor our power as creators in our own lives and our contribution to the collective experience unfolding right now. And before we dive into the topic of peak wellness and the great bypass, I'm going to invite you to a simple practice, a really powerful yet simple practice for this solstice. And you can do this if you're listening to this in solstice past. You can do this before the end of the year, the beginning of the year. It's a very powerful exercise. Before we get there, I just want to give you a few updates about what's going on over here at Evolution Central. I just made that up. It's really what I stand for is evolutionary transformation. And that's what we need right now. We need to catalyze evolutionary transformation in ourselves so that we can have that level of impact on the world. And if you are interested in staying up to date in any of the following, or if you want heads up on when these epic podcast episodes drop, I have some of the most incredible guests lined up for 2022. And it is such an honor. These are uninterrupted episodes, and I don't know how long that can last because we don't have sponsors on the show as of now. And again, this is a huge effort to put out these shows, and it is my service. We might have to bring in some sponsors this year. And if that's you listening, then please reach out to us. And you can go to stephanietrager.com to hop onto the email list or to reach out to me and my team. And you can either request the free Unlocking Higher Purpose 6-part mini course at the top of the page. It's really awesome. and it integrates with this podcast. Actually, there's a few episodes you get to listen to and have a beautiful journal that accompanies that program, and it's free. Or you can just go down to the bottom of the page and drop your email in. I do have a few spaces for private coaching in Evolve, which is a really deep journey where we look at peak wellness, higher purpose, soul mastery, and deeper impact in business, leadership, and life. And we dive all the way in. It's never shallow in my world. We go quantum and we go fast and we go in, do the work that needs to be done so we can have the impact we need to have in the world. And also for Blaze Evolutionary Business and Leadership Mentorship Program. Most of the work I do with folks is bespoke and customized. My clients have very busy lives, and I love to create experiences and transformational opportunities that work for you for the exact thing that you need. Okay, and then we have Evolve Mastery Circle. This is a group evolutionary cohort. I'm excited about this. It's an exclusive soul, mind, body impact trust for evolutionary mastery seekers here to reboot our world naturally. If you are interested in learning about this, it's going to kick off the end of March or the beginning of April 2022. Be on the lookout for this. There's 10 spots for the Evolve Mastery Circle. So hop over to the email list so you get first information as that unfolds. You can also apply on the website if you're interested now. And then, of course, the inner work of impact. This is something I've shared on the podcast. I'm so deeply honored and excited because this evolved out of my life's work naturally. It's sort of the formulation of my body of work, and I get to bring this to teams, organizations, and boards, groups with a common mission. And it is a deep exploration of the nexus between our personal work and our impact as change agents. So if any of this is sounding really interesting to you, again, please hop over to the website, stephanietrager.com, sign up, reach out to me. Stay tuned. Thank you so much for being here. Stay tuned for our 2022 lineup of epic podcast guests. I'm blown away and I can't wait. I have so much fun in these conversations. If there's anyone you'd like to recommend, you can always reach out and let us know. And there's a new feature on Spotify. So please head over to Spotify if that's where you listen, and rate and share feedback on the show. That would be so very helpful. Also super helpful if you can please subscribe to the YouTube channel. We are looking to grow the YouTube channel, and just the goal is to get this information out to a wider audience so that we can serve and awaken consciousness, help people connect more dots, and really wake up to who they really are so they can do the work they're really here to do. That's the mission. And lastly, in 2022, we're hosting a deep evolutionary retreat on an island in paradise, which I have just returned from. It is going to be epic. It is a beautiful place. The space, everything about it facilitates your epic evolution and just raising your frequency, healing, transforming. I mean, it's just going to be epic. So if you're interested in that, again, go on over to stephanietrager.com, sign up. I'm going to be leading this with a dear sister of mine, and more on that soon. So please let me know how any of that lands for you. Okay, let's drop into Solstice and honoring Earth quarters. What does that mean? Many people in the business world were focused on tax quarters, right? And in any world, in the Western world, we gotta know when to pay our taxes, and it usually falls around quarters. And there's tax day, especially if you're an accountant, right? You've got these dates in barcodes on your wrist. So we know a certain type of calendar. But with Solstice, we get to step back and look at the Earth calendar. And their Earth, Mother Earth is a living organism with many patterns and many cycles, and more than just these 4 quarters. But these 4 quarters are deeply profound because they mark shifts in our own relationship with nature, our own relationship with Earth. Usually they mark turning of seasons, shifting of the fertility of the Earth, and just changing in Earth patterns that we can actually see. What else do we look at when we're looking at tax quarters? These arbitrary dates when taxes are due, numbers are calculated, KPIs are measured, yada, yada, yada. What is real about that? I'll tell you what is real are the quarters of the Earth quarters. I look at these as like just most potent portals for our intentions, for our reflections. It's not just a new year once a year. There's 4 times a year that we can really step back and tune in and get quiet and listen to ourselves and connect with ourselves and connect with nature. I mean, we are nature. So this is that moment where you get to pause and reflect and really kind of just recapitulate the quarter, what happened that quarter, and then what are your intentions for the next quarter. And if you do this for 4 quarters, even if you just do it now, and we're in winter solstice here. If you do this now on winter solstice, and then in spring equinox in March of 2022, you look back and you say, what was my prayer? What was my intention in December of 2021? And then you start looking at your life and you notice the reorg. You notice how things actually either had to deconstruct, let go, leave your life, change, unfold in order for your dream, your intention to actually come to fruition. And sometimes it has to be bumpy and ugly because we forgot to put the memo in for having this be a blessed, graceful, joyful ride. And so the goal here is to pause, for example, Earth quarters. We're in solstice right now, winter solstice. What were you doing in equinox, which was fall equinox, September of 2021? So between September and December, what unfolded for you? If you set your intentions in September, then you could actually look back and measure and see what's unfolding in your life. Now, I typically really find that the solstices are the most powerful portals, and then the equinoxes are kind of pillars for just checking in and staying on top of the intention and reflecting. And then you can also on the equinoxes, that's in spring equinox in March, and then fall equinox in September in the Northern Hemisphere, you can kind of look back into and course correct. It's the time of course correcting. Maybe you forgot to put into the memo in your prayer that you want this to be a graceful, easy ride. And so here's where you can kind of course correct that. Take responsibility for where things were bumpy or uncomfortable and choose how you want to show up. And that's where you kind of do that inventory. You look at your life and you say, well, where am I? What do I need to do, heal or transform in order to step into this process and have it go the way I want it to go? And we're going to get there because that's a big part of peak wellness. So again, taking your Earth quarters journal and literally journaling or writing your reflections for the last quarter, and then your intentions and prayers for the next quarter, and be very mindful of the words you choose because every word is a prayer. Every word carries a frequency and an energy. And so we want to call in the experience that's really going to serve us, our highest good, and be with the most grace, ease, flow, and joy and beauty. And I have something to share about that, but I'm going to pause on that until we get into the peak wellness conversation. So I just want to really offer you this gift of pausing and doing that. And again, journaling your intentions, your prayer, your desires, your dreams now in December, and in equinox of the spring equinox in March. Have a look back in summer solstice of 2022 in June of next year. Have a look back and really, wow, look what my life unfolded for me so that my dream and intention could actually come to fruition. This could not have happened if that was still in my life, or if this was still a pattern, or if this person was still in my life. Right. So we never, in the moment, it feels like things are happening to us and everything is happening for us. And when we have this intentional practice about honoring Earth quarters or any kind of intentional practice, we realize that life is happening for us, not to us. All right. So take that exercise, and I would love to hear how it lands for you, how it works for you. I could just say, looking back at my year, it has been super powerful. And I've seen the lessons, the gifts, the gratitude, the love, the forgiveness, the cleaning up of any loose ends, any loose stories that I don't want to carry into next year. I don't want to carry forward, right? Really understanding the purpose of every experience in your life and honoring it. And that's what solstice honoring is for me, not just in my life, but I also look at this from the collective and what's the experience going on right now. How is this pandemic? I mean, this might hit some feathers right now, but how is this pandemic actually serving us as a humanity? How is it serving us? Are we able to look and see that? In your own personal life, if you have any kind of chaos, acute or chronic illness, or anything going on, how are you looking at it and seeing how it's actually serving you in this moment? It's not always easy, but it is beautiful. And that's the opportunity we have. And that is what is called evolution. Change is inevitable. Evolution is a choice. All right. That is our honoring of solstice for now. And I want to drop into peak wellness and the bypass. In 2007, I became a wellness coach. And for a long time, I was a student of herbalism, an athlete, a martial artist, and superfood, like just always seeking out the superfood that was going to lead me to peak performance, the way of eating, the way of working out, the way of training. And I grew wheatgrass, used a meat grinder to juice it, outside on my deck, ate local bee pollen, lived off the grid at that time. I would, eating herbs, harvesting, wildcrafting herbs. And I was doing anything I could to test my physical prowess. I lived off the grid. So I walked in the woods at night with mountain lions, and, my senses were heightened. I could see in the dark. It was like a whole other way of calibrating and living than my life is actually now. Though in those years, I learned some critical skills and understanding of what it really means to experience peak wellness and not bypass. It's not just physical. It's the emotional, spiritual, mental, and physical. Yes. It's all of these aspects of our lives, and everything that makes us up is wellness, right? It's not just physical, how I feel today. I mean, how we feel is influenced by what we eat. It's influenced by our emotional state. It's influenced by our level of integrity, honesty. It's influenced with our relationships, how we show up, and do we say what we say we're going to do? It's influenced by so many nuances, right? And we're all so individual. And so in my work in wellness coaching and mentoring, I definitely, everything's custom because people are different. Yet there are some programs and like modalities that I've created, steps and processes that do work. And one of these steps is this 5-step process that is in my peak wellness. There's another podcast episode on in the higher purpose program, which is on Catalyst Talks podcast. You can search through the episodes and find this one on peak wellness, where we do talk about this 5-step process. And I go into more detail on each step. And the steps are inventory, detox, adding and amplification, recalibrating, and integrating. And today I want to dive into inventory. And this is all where we're going to stay today, because inventory, this is a great time to be doing inventory at the end of the year, right? Reflecting what's going on, checking out our life, diving in. And there is another process, a whole bunch of steps for doing that inventory. But it is really, really the most important, because when I talk about bypassing, this is what we don't want to do. We want to get to the detox. We want to get to what should I add? We want to get to how do I fix it? We want to move on, integrate. We want to just be there already. We want to bypass the work, and inventory is the work. And there's no bypassing it. And you can make it play, you can make it joy. It doesn't have to be hard, but it is the work, and it is the doing of inventory. So that you can actually reap the benefits of the other steps. The other steps are like Band-Aids unless you do the inventory and really get to the deepest understanding of what's really going on under the hood. So bypassing is not looking under the hood. It's like, I don't want to go there. That's painful. So many people I know aren't even aware that they don't want to go there. They don't even aware that they're bypassing. They're so disconnected because of some pain or wound that has happened in the past, or some inability to face themselves. And that is where there's no point in going to the other steps unless you're willing to get some support around going in and doing that inventory step. And so what does it really mean? Just for example, think about the bypass. I say bypass. What do you think of? I think of heart surgery. I think my grandmother, I think of people in my family who've had bypass surgery, triple, quadruple. Now it's like quintuple. It's just going up and up and up, however many, arteries there are. But this is really the thing. It's like, thank God for heroic measures and for these processes that actually can help save lives. Yes. Thank God. And at the same time, we don't want to get there. We don't want to have to do the bypass. We want to do the work of checking out our food, checking out our lifestyle, checking our stress levels, checking our alignment, checking our family lineage. So many people are super healthy and then they have these heart events and you're like, what? This is like the shining example of health. And it's like, how did that happen? It's not always physical. It's sometimes emotional, it's sometimes spiritual, and it's sometimes ancestral. And so we've got to look at a whole person and a whole organism and a whole ecosystem and understand why, this is cause and effect is not always linear. And that's the thing, is like this inventory process is not linear. But once we put all the dots out there, put them on the table, the pieces of ourselves, when we're doing inventory, we can start to connect more dots and see the connections and see how it's not linear. That's where the healing, that's where the transformation and growth happens. One of the other things around the bypass, and some other examples of bypassing, are when we don't listen to ourselves. When we don't listen to we put a Fitbit on our wrist, something's going to count our steps. Like, count your own steps. And no, I'm not knocking it if you're using a Fitbit. Awesome, because whatever it is that's going to help you get out and motivate you, great. And then you take it off once you got there. And then you get to the next step and you listen to your body. And so many people don't want to listen to their body, because if they really listen, you're going to tune in and you're going to find other things, not just physical. You're going to have to tap deeper into your emotional being. You're going to have to tap deeper into your spiritual being. You're going to tap deeper into things, wounds of the past, maybe places where you need to forgive yourself, forgive others, take responsibility, show up. And it's not always easy and it's not always comfortable. We want the convenient. We want to bypass the uncomfortable so that we can have the convenient, the easy, right? Spiritual evolution it's an all-in process. Now, it's not this 5 minutes in the morning on the mat. It's every day, all day. So many times it seems like, if I stop, I say, am I meditating? Because I haven't sat down for an hour, which I love to do. That's my juicy practice. But hey, maybe I don't have time. Am I meditating? And yes, meditation becomes life. It becomes life once this is your practice and your way of being. And it's no longer bypassing. So, but knowing where you are on the trajectory, knowing the steps to get there, you got to start somewhere. And so I really, I see the benefit of technology in this whole wellness journey and all of the cool gadgets and things. As an energy medicine practitioner and somebody who, I rule my life is ruled by energy and frequencies and reading things, people, situations. And if I'm off and I'm not reading something correctly, I need to stop and understand why. I don't want to go and get some device and bypass the issue. I might get some help, but then understand, why am I not seeing it? Or why have I not been listening to, whether it's my body or my intuition, and really understanding that, because in that question, in that inquiry of the why, that is where the medicine is. That is where the major maturing of, in ourselves happens. That's where the growth happens. So, how many people go outside and to find out what the weather is? Or how many of you look at your phone first thing in the morning instead of opening the door and just looking outside and looking up and feeling it and understanding? We've lost our connection. There's fishermen who know when a tsunami is coming months before, because they feel the ocean, they feel the air, they feel the earth, they can hear, they can listen. And so we as humans have this innate ability to connect way more deeply with nature and with ourselves, and to understand what is being asked of us, to live in harmony, to become more healthy. And I think that there's a fear that if we actually do that, we're going to have to give up stuff. We're going to have to give up our lifestyle. We're going to have to give up something. And what if that's not true? What if that's not true? That is a function of media. That is a function of programming. Most people are being programmed out of listening to themselves into this world, this industrial medical complex, into this industrial, thinking complex. Would you like for your brain to be uploaded onto the cloud? I mean, I can't even wrap my head around that idea. I'm sitting and reconciling the idea of technology actually being the solution to our human problems. And I don't really think so. I think there's a way that we can use some technology to help amplify our human abilities, yet we have to return to our human capability first and then amplify that. But what's happening is this techno world and all of this bypassing is usurping our ability to even be human and tap into our real power as human beings and our power as creators on this earth. And so that is my invitation here. And I might be going on a bit of a tangent, but to me, the portal is peak wellness. It's the inner work. I call it the inner work of impact, right? It's like do the inner work first, then try and figure out how to have the outer impact, creating technologies to solve problems or to help us along. The Fitbit, great idea. But, and I'm not knocking the Fitbit on purpose. It just keeps coming up because I know so many people use this and they bypass their own intelligence. You're bypassing your own ability to listen to your body, count your own steps, track your own being, not this thing on your wrist, tracking your pulse and God knows what else it's doing to your pulse. So I think it's really important for us to claim ownership of our bodies, claim ownership and sovereignty of our choices as human beings. I'm somebody who for 30 years have been on this wellness journey. And, no, I'm not going to inject a potion into my body that's going to, determine my wellness and maybe introduce some other factors. I have learned how to master the wellness machine. I'm learning how. Let's just say that I'm learning how, and I'm committed to mastering my body and her wellness and learning from her every single day and listening to what she needs, listening to what the earth needs from me. And that is my path to, contributing to global wellness. So, I think it's a really interesting moment that we're in with everything unfolding on the planet. And things are falling out of control right now. If you're not watching the news, I'm not watching the news, but I'm hearing things on the side and it sounds like things are falling out of control. So just step back. And when you're in this journey of peak wellness and you know how to do that inventory for yourself, the deeper we go in the inventory in ourself, the more we are able to see and do inventory externally, the more we're able to see what's actually unfolding outside, because inventory internally allows us to see what's going on inside. And if you're not actually honing this skill of perception, then on the inside, then it's really impossible to have it on the outside. It's impossible to see what's really going on in this world if you're not super keen on what's going on in your inner world. It's a capability of seeing, a capability of feeling, a capability of knowing and listening and really connecting dots. That's the goal. And peak wellness inside is peak wellness outside. What we do individually impacts collectively. It impacts the collective. In my other episode on peak wellness, I talk about these three parts to peak wellness. It's our own wellness, our own physical, emotional, spiritual, intellectual, mental wellness, and the impact on ourselves, then the impact locally in our smaller environment, whether it's your family unit or your work unit or like just your smaller local community, and your impact there, and your impact collectively on the global, the global collective. And so one example of this is how I'm eating, my food choices. Am I only making these choices for me? Or am I looking at this food? Am I asking who had to die so I can have it? Not necessarily just the animals. Like, how is this impacting the community, the farms? What are the practices on the industrial agriculture? How is that impacting soil? How is that impacting the world? How is that impacting the birds and the bees and the frogs? And then how is that impacting a local community somewhere and the gray water systems, the earth water? So there's so many ways that we are impacting the world. And the more we can do that inner work, the more we can see outside of ourselves and our impact, what our impact is. And not only see it, but hold it. The idea is to hold it. It's not to make me wrong. It's not to make you wrong. It's not about being wrong. It's not about feeling despair and sadness. It's about wow, now how do I raise my frequency? How do I contribute on the highest level, not just in my actions, but in my being? And so that's where we go into the detox, and then we add, and then we recalibrate, and then we integrate, and we do this whole process. It's kind of, you can repeat this over and over. And if you're living a life of peak wellness, this is the practice. You get to a certain point where you might plateau, and you know that in order to fine tune the machine, it's like when your car needs a tune up, you go and tune it up. This is the tune up. Not just going to a doctor's office, getting blood test results and upping your medication. The tune up is to stop and do inventory, detox, add, amplify, recalibrate. Recalibrating is really just kind of checking in what needs to be recalibrated and what is recalibrating as a result, what's working, what's not, and then integrating it into our life practices. And so this is a process that is a flow in our life. I've been doing this for 30 years. And then within each of these steps, there's a whole bunch of steps that we can do to do the inventory, to do the detox. Depends what you need to detox. And there's many different types of detoxing and cleansing, and it depends where you are in your physical journey and spiritual journey. So I just want to share one thing that's really personal, and then we're going to wrap up this episode. And I really am curious how any of this is landing for you. My intention is that there's a nugget in here, and it's landing, and it's going to inspire someone to take some different kind of action in their life to do the inventory. And one great example, one great process, or one great offering here is the Solstice and Earth quarter journaling exercise I shared in the beginning. It's just a great way to do inventory, even at a high level, right? It's like what was going on in my life for the last 6 months since solstice in the summer to now? What was going on in my life since fall equinox in September until now, December 2021? And then what are my intentions and my prayers, and how am I formulating the words to create these prayers, these intentions, these desires? And what kind of intention am I bringing to that? And time I'm taking for reflection. And it could be around your physical wellness. It could be around your emotional, spiritual wellness, your relationships, any area of your life. And then the whole purpose of it, though, is to be able to reflect back. That's the inventory, is to really understand how your intentions. I mean, these earth portals, these solstice portals are very powerful for setting intentions, because, Mother Earth is producing for us all the time. And including when we put our intentions in their seeds. And now is the time we plant our seeds so that those seeds can grow. And, when a big tree is growing, it's kind of the survival of the fittest. Yeah. In nature, the tree might grow and some other things might fall away so that tree can grow. And it's that's the vision I want you to hold for how you can set your greatest intentions and craft it in the most beautiful natural way of grace, flow, and beauty and ease, instead of bumpy and hard and painful. I'm going to share an experience that I had that really has put me in this place of deep inventory. And it is, since summer solstice, this unfolding that is in alignment with some of my prayers and desires. And I had to, take responsibility. Hey, I asked for this. We ask for everything in our life, whether we know it or not, and it's happening for us. And that might be hard to land for some folks. This is medicine. We ask for it, whether it feels good or not. It's happening for us on some level. And when we can really dive in and understand that and do the work in order to really hold that, then we get to mature and grow into that which is best, in our best and highest good. And I had this experience where I attracted the energy of lying and cheating into my life. And it's very weird, because my entire life is committed to transformation, right? I'm a catalyst for transformation. That's what I do. Integrity is it's what I'm going to stand for: integrity, truth, and justice, and I attracted this energy of cheating and like secrets and lying in my life, in a messy, complex situation. And I had to really navigate this and understand, like, as a psychic intuitive, how did I not listen to myself that I knew? How did I ignore what I knew? And in this process of being able to really, like, after I processed it all, I'll say, and I learned my lessons, I really had to look at where I was outgrowing an old karmic pattern that was not even all mine, but it was a holding pattern that played out in my life in various ways. And I had to take energetic responsibility. And this is part of inventory. This is part of peak wellness and inventory. Like, peak wellness is that every area of our life, not just our physical body, not just our work and our financial flow and our relationships, every area of our life is in integrity with who we are and what we stand for. And we're not perfect. We're not always there. It's the journey. It's the commitment to holding it and being willing to do the work, to dive in and understand it. And there's no right way. We look at the white picket fence and the this and the that and what you're supposed to have and how your life is supposed to be. And that if it's not that, then you're wrong or you're off or you didn't figure it out. It's not that is a false construct that we've bought into. Everyone is on a different evolutionary journey and a different karmic journey and a different life journey here, a different life path with a different life purpose. And so it's not linear. Okay. Remember that no matter what you're experiencing, doesn't mean you're wrong or bad or anything. It's just about, wow, look at this beautiful configuration of opportunities I get to understand and like sort out and transform and outgrow and mature. What does taking energetic responsibility look like in this context? I had to say to myself, where am I cheating myself in my life, in all areas of my life? Where am I lying to myself in all areas of my life? So if it, in the collective, where is this playing out in the collective right now? The energy of lying, the energy of cheating in the collective. Who's getting hoodwinked right now? How is my life a holographic imprint of the collective right now? This is energetic responsibility inside out in the holographic way. Okay. Where am I withholding? I experienced this energy of withholding, like being withheld from. Where am I withholding myself from the world and not giving myself? Where are there secrets that I keep? And why, and from who, and how does that play out? And where are secrets others, in the collective, where is secret energy playing out right now? So that I know that this other person was not only contributing to his own story and my own story and the collective story, but we have to take this flashlight to our life and really dig in deep and go. My friend Carrie, my beautiful friend Carrie, sister shaman healer, she really pointed out a beautiful way to perceive this, and calling it, like, we have these beautiful tiles and we've done all this beautiful work and our tiles are gorgeous, but sometimes we have to go in and look at the grout in between the tiles. And so that's where I was like, I got to get into the grout and get real here. And this is where the forgiveness comes, and this is where compassion comes from, and this is where kindness pours in and love pours in for yourself first, then maybe the other person, and then maybe the collective, but for yourself first. And this is where you realize, wow, my evolutionary path is so gorgeous. Look how cool this story is that I played out, in order to actualize this holding pattern in this way. Say, I'm complete. Thank you. Yes, I'm willing to look at it all. This is where we get to realize the nonlinear aspect of who we really are as humans. And we don't have to fall into some false construct and matrix, which is what is unfolding right now in the world. We're being like told you're bad if you don't like drop into the matrix and be this, good citizen who does this, and take the potion. And I don't know, but I'll come back to this moment off that detour. Healing and maturing our own darkness raises our frequency. I experienced like a catapulting, like, evolution in this process. And sometimes it's like, you need to jumpstart a vehicle. It's like getting experience to jumpstart your frequency and raise it and remind you of who you really are and what you're really here to do. And sometimes it's beautiful. And sometimes, again, it's hard, rocky, and bumpy. So when we raise our own frequency, we raise the frequency of the collective. It's not just for us. It contributes to the raising frequency of humanity, the energy, the vibration. And really, if you've ever walked in a room where the frequency, the vibe is high, and I don't mean like drunk high, I mean real high, like really high frequency, like people who are spiritually evolved. I've been in the presence of some spiritual leaders that you feel it. I was just on this island in paradise where we're going to do this retreat next year. The frequency of this place was like amazing. And you go into places in nature, especially old growth forests and pristine natural environments. Wow, you can feel it. And it raises your energy and it raises your frequency. Yeah. And it's about how do you calibrate that, hold on to that, and let that actually drop in and reprogram and reboot your cells. The Evolved Mastery Circle is for those who want to reboot the world naturally. Yeah. This is about rebooting our frequency. And when we're lost in shame or feeling stuck or lost, or blaming ourselves and like, how could I do that? Oh my God, how did I attract this into my life? I've already done the work on this. I'm sure plenty of you have heard that or have told that story to yourself. Shame doesn't serve. Guilt and shame doesn't serve. It's actually a very low frequency. And seeing the beauty, transmuting that into seeing the beauty and the compassion and the love flow, and even the joy of, wow, what a cool experience that was, even if it was painful and uncomfortable. And you've transcended that now. Why, this is where you can be vulnerable and you see the beauty in the vulnerability. That's one of the pieces of vulnerability that you don't hear us talked about that much, but vulnerability is, it's beautiful, and beauty is a very high vibration. Also, it's a high frequency. And I'm really very interested right now in looking at energy patterns and frequencies and vibrations, because, all the news and all the facts out there and science, yay, great. And just read the energy, just like go outside to check out the weather, listen to your body, put the Fitbit away, put the app away for the weather, go feel it outside, read the frequency, forget the facts for a second, feel it out, tap back into who you really are as a powerful creator and human on this planet. And remember who you really, who we all really are. This is the path to peak wellness. And of course, there's the working out, there's the exercise, there's the sweating, there's the yummy parts, there's the crunches, the abs, and the strong legs and strong arms and strong abs. And there's the emotion, but this other aspect is the emotional medicine that feeds it. They all feed into each other, your body, your physical body, your emotional body, your spiritual body. And we want to uplift all. That's peak wellness. This is a level beyond just wellness. All right. When I talk peak wellness, I'm talking all in on every level. So inventory. Remember that everything is a teacher for all of us right now, and all of our life experiences are teachers. So looking back on this reflection in the solstice, or whatever moment in life you are when you're listening to this, and doing a little bit of reflection. Where was I last Earth quarter, the solstice or equinox? And where am I today? And what's unfolding for me? And how can I make it even more graceful and beautiful? And what are my teachers? What are the learnings? What are the lessons? And what is it that I really, really want? What is my intention, my dream? What am I calling in, no matter what? And for myself and the world, and when we do this, we recognize that we have a really beautiful, unique blueprint, our own unique self, and we have our own unique purpose here on Earth. And reflecting honors that. Doing some life reflection honors that. Where are the challenges? Where can I ask for more ease? Where can I show up even more? What do I want? What am I co-creating? And ask your questions. Shine the light on the inside. That's the inventory. Shine the light. Clean the grout in your tiles. See the beauty. Receive the gifts. Raise the frequency. And realize you will no longer be a vibrational match to that which you do not want. When you raise your frequency, and that means healing and expressing your body's physical ability, emotional ability, spiritual ability, innate intuitive capacity. When we raise our frequency, we will no longer attract that which is not in our best and highest good. We will only attract that which we are calling in with deep intention. And we can ask to do that with grace and ease and beauty. And that is where I'll leave this for us today. To just ponder on that. And where are you bypassing? Where can you step more fully in and do the inventory so that you can experience peak wellness in your body, in your soul, in your mind, in your heart, your spirit? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks for joining us on this episode of Catalyst Talks. Stay tuned for what's up next, and please subscribe to our podcast wherever you listen. You'll find those links at catalysttalks.com. Join us. We continue this conversation on social media. And if you'd like to reach out to me privately, you can send me a message at stephanietrager.com. Your attention here means the world to me. Thank you, thank you, thank you.